both strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
The University of Guelph would like to acknowledge the Attawandaron people on whose traditional territory the University of Guelph resides, and to offer respect to our Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Métis neighbors as we strengthen our relationships with them. Paul Simon wrote and sang the words, "I am a rock, I am an island, and a rock feels no pain, and an island never cries." And graduates, there are times that you have all experienced that. It's actually a very common human experience. We've all felt that at times, but this is not that kind of time. This is a time to celebrate not only your achievements, but also the people who have been instrumental in helping you to achieve those accomplishments. It's a time of thanksgiving, of gratitude, of knowing that you are not alone. You have family and social supports around you right now, and yes, sometimes they drive you nuts, but they're here. And for those times that they show up and care like today, we are all very thankful. You have your roommates, and sometimes, yes, they drive you to drink, but we also recognize that without them, you would not grow, and you would not learn, and you would not discover things about yourself. You have faculty and staff and professors and teachers and TAs, and sometimes they appear to be tyrants, demanding yet another paper or another test. But today we recognize them as fellow human beings, elders, if you will, who coax you into learning, who help you to discover your abilities, your skills, your gifts. They share their knowledge, their craft, their art. The list goes on and on. Today we also give thanks to one who has led this university for the last number of years. Vice Chancellor and University President Alistair Summerlee has demonstrated the interconnection that we all share on this moment by example, through teaching, through his skill as a team builder, through his accessibility to students, but above all, Alistair has demonstrated these things in his care, his compassion, his love, and his smile. Yes, this is a time to give thanks. It is a time for gratitude. To all that is sacred to us, we give thanks in a spirit of love one to the other. Amen.
Please be seated. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. Vice Chancellor, members of the board, fellows, faculty and staff, families and friends, and graduands, welcome to the celebration of Convocation at the University of Guelph. I'd also like to extend a special welcome this morning to our honorary degree recipient, Tracy McNamara, who will be formally introduced to you in a moment. I'm Maureen Mancuso, the Provost and the Vice President Academic, and I'm privileged to have the honor of opening this ceremony on behalf of the university. And I'd like to officially congratulate you, our graduands, on your momentous achievement. I hope you will take a moment and join me in thanking the many people, family, friends, and mentors who have supported, encouraged, and assisted you in the pursuit of your studies. Today, we mark the end of one chapter of your lives and the beginning of a new one. You made it here today through years of effort and hard work. Now it's time to turn towards other goals and new challenges of increasing complexity and impact. Your journey of learning did not begin here at Guelph, nor does it end here today. If anything, it builds upon your experiences of the last few years to become more arduous, more enlightening, more productive, and more fulfilling. You came here to develop the possibilities and resources of your own minds. You came here to change your lives, to devote some time to learning essential skills and acquiring knowledge, to challenge yourselves and extend your capabilities. Here, in our community of scholars, you had the freedom to learn about the world and to learn about yourself. We hope you learned a great deal about how you will fit into and affect the world. We hope you see your path more clearly and that you see how your contributions on that path can lead to a better world. We have tried to help you prepare by opening your eyes to ideas you might not have encountered, cultures of which you were unaware, perspectives that complement and sometimes contrast with your own. We have tried to help you to think critically, to reject simplistic answers to complex questions, and to refuse the empty satisfaction of half-truths and partial solutions. Ultimately, though, we have shared with you one fundamental lesson. There's always more to learn. It's now up to you to start applying that lesson and those skills. We send you forth as representatives of the University of Guelph, and we know that you will make us proud, and we hope you're proud to wear the Guelph name. As you probably noticed, even when you were first applying to universities, we eagerly call attention to the exploits of our graduates. Be one of those people whose accomplishments we trumpet. Be someone who makes a mark on the world, someone who demonstrates the power and the potential of post-secondary education. Take this responsibility seriously, because to quote my favorite fake US president, the West Wing's Jed Bartlett, decisions are made by those who show up. So now I say to you graduates, flush with the pride and powers of the finest education we know how to provide, show up. Show up in your own lives and live them critically, live them wisely. Show up in the lives of others, family, friends, and strangers, and make them better directly or indirectly, however you can. Show up in the world, not just as pictures on Facebook, but as someone who makes a difference, even if that difference is harder to discern and doesn't go viral on YouTube. Most especially, show up as active, aware, and caring citizens of your country, your city, your world. Wherever your future leads you, please don't forget that even though you may not be on campus, you are still part of our community. Your association with Guelph, like your journey of learning, is lifelong. We hope you will feel welcome to return from time to time to share your accomplishments and experiences with your fellow alumni, your former professors, and the future students who will follow in your footsteps. And so once again, I bid you welcome. Enjoy this ceremony, take pride in what it represents, and remember all of those who have helped to make this day possible. I offer you my personal congratulations and every best wish.
Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate of the University of Guelph, it is my great privilege to present to you Tracy McNamara for the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Dr. Tracy McNamara has had a profound influence on the field of veterinary pathology and has increased our understanding of the critical links between animal and human health. Currently a professor of pathology at the Western University of Health Sciences College of Veterinary Medicine in Pomona, California, Dr. McNamara is best known for her work in the discovery of West Nile virus, a virus that had never before been seen in North America. A graduate of the New York State College of Veterinary Medicine at Cornell University, Dr. McNamara was head of pathology for the Bronx Zoo and Wildlife Conservation Society from 1987 to 2003. In 1999, Dr. McNamara realized that dead crows and zoo birds at the Bronx and Queens zoos could be related to the encephalitis reported in patients in New York City hospitals. She is credited as having served a central role as a unifying force, molding and sometimes forcing interrelationships between local and federal government agencies and private enterprises, enabling progress toward the common goal of monitoring a newly emerging disease. Subsequently, she helped establish a national West Nile surveillance working group that enabled zoos to report cases to the U.S. Center for Disease Control, CDC. This was the first zoonotic disease surveillance network to share animal data in real-time fashion with public health agencies throughout the U.S. Dr. McNamara's experience with West Nile virus showed that collaboration among scientists, veterinarians, physicians, and public health officials is essential and even possible to understand and monitor zoonotic diseases. Her accomplishments have been widely recognized, and she has received numerous honors, including the first Scientific Achievement Award from the American College of Veterinary Pathologists and the President's Award from the American Veterinary Medical Association in recognition for her contributions and dedication to animal, human, and public health. She is involved with integrated biosurveillance projects in the U.S., as well as Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. Today, she continues to share with students and colleagues the importance of the message of One World, One Health, and to advocate for funding and systematic planning to identify and control future outbreaks. For her lifelong dedication to protecting animal and human health as a researcher, scholar, and educator, Tracy McNamara is most deserving of a Doctor of Science degree, honoris causa, from the University of Guelph. I now ask you, Mr. Chancellor, to confer upon Tracy McNamara the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa.
By the authority of the Senate of the University of Guelph, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Science. Dr. McNamara will now deliver the Convocation address.
I am so excited to be here today. I look out at your shining faces and I see the future of veterinary medicine. You are joining the ranks of the best profession in the world at a time when your skills are sorely needed. West Nile virus was a validation and an illustration of the power of a veterinary education, and that is even more true today. It was the most exciting and rewarding experiences of my career, and I was never more proud to be a veterinarian. Only a veterinarian had been able to see the forest for the trees and connect the dots between the bird and the human die-off. It truly was a great moment for veterinary medicine. 15 years later, we've had many other wake-up calls like Nipah virus, Hendra virus, SARS, the threat of pandemic flu, and most recently, the Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. As a result, there's much greater awareness of the value of veterinary medicine and the need to take a One Health approach to emerging zoonoses as well as other aspects of medicine. Veterinarians, with their in-depth understanding of biological systems, knowledge of disease processes and epidemiology, are recognized as being uniquely qualified to serve as a much-needed bridge between human, animal, and ecosystem health. You are poised to make great contributions to society, so never underestimate your skill set. Be prepared to use the full breadth of your veterinary training. You never know when you might need it. The story I'm about to tell could just as easily have been yours. People going into small animal medicine who think this might not apply, first person to handle a West Nile crow was a poodle practitioner in Queens. So, I want to share two little vignettes with you that sort of encapsulate what happened with West Nile and how it changed my life. It threw me into the counterculture of the Department of Defense and the intelligence communities. And I met my first FBI agent, and he handed me his card, and it said Special Agent, WMD. I'm looking at the card, and the wheels are turning, and I'm thinking, what is the FBI doing with white muscle disease? And no, it was weapons of mass destruction. I'm like, get out of town, I can't believe it. Then I had another guy come up to me in a meeting, and he said, Dr. McNamara, I know all about you. You are a legend in the defense and intelligence communities. We call you the lone wolf. It's like, ooh, I like that. I'm going to put that on my business card. That's cool. And this was at an agricultural terrorism meeting, so I just assumed he worked for the USDA or the FDA, and he goes, no. He hands me his card. He worked for the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. I'd never even heard of him. And I was like, oh, you do know all about me. More than I'd like you to know, I'm sure. But what happened in the summer of '99, I was a pathologist at the Bronx Zoo, and as such, I needed to be able to recognize all the domestic animal diseases, but also be on the lookout for novel pathogens in the unusual species I worked with. So I approached all cases with a kind of unusual mindset. I was always looking for the unknown. And so when crows started falling out of the sky, I did what I'd always done. I aggressively pursued a diagnosis. Neurologic crows were taking nosedives into our exhibits. So what were the most likely differential diagnoses for encephalitic crows? Well, you guys can tell me. Newcastle, influenza, Eastern, Western, and Venezuelan equine encephalitis. Those were the 5 most likely differential diagnoses. However, I had done some training at Plum Island and had seen experimentally induced Newcastles and influenza, and there were simply too many differences between what I was seeing in the crows for me to believe it was either one of those diagnoses. Plus, I was in a unique setting. I was at a zoo that had a petting zoo, had a children's zoo with domestic poultry. So we had chickens, ducks, geese, swans, and guess what? Those birds were all healthy. Well, if it had been Newcastle or influenza, those birds should have been dropping dead, and they weren't. And I was like, okay, what's the next possibility? Eastern equine encephalitis, I'm on the East Coast, that's a possibility. But just as the chickens would have served as sentinels for Newcastle's or influenza, the Bronx Zoo had a healthy flock of emus, those Australian ostriches, and emus are exquisitely sensitive to Eastern equine encephalitis. They get enteritis and die. The fact that we had a healthy flock put Eastern equine way down on the list of differentials, and I was officially out of known veterinary viruses that could cause this encephalitic problem in the crows. Just then, New York City announced that people were dying of an unusual encephalitis, St. Louis encephalitis, which is a mosquito-borne flaviviral infection. But birds are asymptomatic carriers of St. Louis. Birds don't die of St. Louis. So was this a new variant of St. Louis encephalitis, or did the CDC have the wrong diagnosis? So I started pulling my thoughts and my samples together. Then the disease spread to our captive collection, and one of my colleagues, while euthanizing a moribund flamingo, accidentally stuck himself with the needle he'd used to euthanize the bird. And I knew he had been exposed to whatever this was. And this virus caused the worst inflammation of the brain I'd seen in 18 years as a comparative pathologist. So I immediately placed 2 calls. First one to the USDA. I said, I know you need to rule out the reportable diseases, but I will eat my veterinary license if this isn't something new. So I begged them to take my samples and put them on cell culture the moment they arrived. And I told them we're going to need to do electron microscopy to determine the size of these viral particles, because I'm telling you it's going to be a flavivirus, and that will strengthen the link between the human and the avian die-offs. Then I called the CDC. Got halfway through my story, and I explained to the individual on the phone that I believe there was a link between the human and the avian die-offs, which were in the same location, same time frame. The coincidence was too striking to ignore. He cut me off in mid-sentence, told me, birds don't die of St. Louis, birds are a reservoir, and you should know better. You're just dealing with some veterinary thing, and there's absolutely no relationship between your birds and the people dying in New York City. I was struck dumb. I was like, well, isn't it a possibility? Viruses mutate all the time. No. It's like, well, can I speak with your supervisor? No. I was like, well, wait a minute, don't hang up on me. What do I tell my colleague? The guy has 3 kids. He's just been exposed to whatever this is. And without skipping a beat, the defenders of public health said, no treatment, no cure, say a prayer, hope for the best. Click, he hung up on me. I sent my samples anyway. I called the USDA, and they called me again on Friday, negative for Newcastle. Saturday, negative for influenza. They called me on Sunday, negative for Eastern Western Venezuelan, and we were officially out of known veterinary diagnoses, and something was growing. They called me a few days later with the electron microscopic findings, and it was indeed a flavivirus, like St. Louis, like whatever the people were dying of. And I was very excited and called back the CDC and asked them to compare our isolate with that of the humans, and they refused to do so. They did not believe the results of the National Veterinary Services Lab, saying they were not certain of the quality of work done in veterinary labs. At that point, I was like, I'm talking to the wrong people. I need people who are mission-driven, with a can-do attitude, with every reagent to every dangerous virus known to man, and with the ability to create novel diagnostic assays. I'll call the Army, and that's what I did. I picked up the phone, I got an operator, they put me through to the head of virology at USAMRIID, U.S. Army Medical Research Institute in Infectious Diseases at Fort Detrick in Frederick, Maryland, and I had a completely different reception, and they were very concerned, and within 48 hours, we closed in on a diagnosis, and the rest is history. Now, New York City, when things were announced, went nuts. There was panic in the streets. And at one point, there's an internet website that posts all sorts of medical information called ProMed Mail, and they posted that they were finding dead cows along the side of the road in Connecticut. And we're like, oh my God, it's killing cows. The word was supposed to be crows. They left the R out. Ultimately, West Nile virus forced agencies and disciplines to work together for the first time, and it was not easy. But we lost 3 critical weeks because of the miscommunications between veterinary and public health. Now, this was all back in 1999, and things have changed. The CDC now has a One Health office. The USDA also has a One Health office. I doubt anyone's going to hang up on a veterinarian again. But be proud of what you are. Be proud of being a veterinarian. Never lose sight of the fact that, you have unique skills. And I urge you to embrace the broader responsibilities that come with your veterinary license. You are limited only by your imagination. So now go forth and do great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy, for sharing that remarkable, inspiring story. Well, the moment has now arrived. Will the graduating class please rise? Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars who have fulfilled the statutory requirements laid down by the Senate of the University of Guelph that they may be admitted to their various and several degrees.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I hereby accept you for admission to your various and several degrees with all the rights, privileges, and obligations appertaining thereto.
Will members of the graduating class please be seated?
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to be announcing the names, and we know that you're all excited to see your student, your graduate, come across the stage and have their name called. We do ask that you hold your applause until we give you a cue at the end of each of the appropriate degree programs. In the meantime, if you want to let out some kind of audible noise, a yelp, go for it, or whatever, that's fine, but please hold your applause until we give you the cue. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Veterinary College that they may be admitted to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Lindsay Heather Bergeron. Heather Jane Chalmers Chaudry. Olivier Cote. Shannon Meadows. Christine Murray. Scott Russell Walsh. Valerie M. Wong. Janet Ruth Sunahara Nielsen. Please join me in applauding all of these doctoral scholars. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you this scholar from the Ontario Veterinary College that he may be admitted to the degree of Master of Biomedical Science. Christopher Arujo. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Veterinary College that they may be admitted to the degree of Master of Public Health. Samantha Ann Docherty. Lindsay Friedman. Sophie Govea. Sana Salim Khan. Nicole Kitchlew. Anna Lukaczewicz. Crystal Francine Essie Quist. Maria Vukmirovic. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Veterinary College that they may be admitted to the degree of Master of Science. Kimberly Marianette Lambert. Larry Morgan. Rachel Elizabeth O'Connor. Samantha Jane Russell. Amy Elizabeth Sturgeon. Please join me in congratulating all of these Master of Science students from the Ontario Veterinary College.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the Ontario Veterinary College that they may be admitted to the degree of Doctor of Veterinary Medicine Honors Program. Laura Kristen Eddy, with distinction. Tanya Aiken, with distinction. Samantha Elizabeth Allen, with distinction. Anna Alassari, with distinction. Ryan Benjamin Appleby. Paris Asghari. Mary Elizabeth Ashburn. Sadie Angela Ashley Bamford, with distinction. Anique Bay, with distinction. Robert William Berger. Tamara Lauren Brown, with distinction. Nicholas Stephen Alexander Bushak, with distinction. Kyle Bushy. Alicia Diane Campoli. Paisley Canning, with distinction. Julia Cicchini, with distinction. Victoria Sarah Chang, with distinction. Yu Chi Chen, with distinction. Allison Clayton. Rebecca Cornell. Stephanie Morgan Suker, with distinction. Sarah Dirakshan, with distinction. Whitney Danielle DeGroot. Kimberly Amanda Denroach, with distinction. Emily Denstedt. Kira Marie Desjardins, with distinction. Amanda Nikita D'Souza. Jasmine Jamie Duff, with distinction. Kristen Edwards, with distinction. Ashley Ariella Albugen. Amy Lorene Taylor Elliott, with distinction. Jessica Ruth Ellison. Kristen Sarah Ferguson, with distinction. Ryan Christopher Edward Flint. Colleen Patricia Fraser. Nina Gautier, with distinction. Jennifer Catherine Gowron. Andrea Gemmel. Sarah Christine Grandomenico. Caitlin Elizabeth Grant, with distinction. Brittany Ashton Houghton. Erin Barbara Hayes, with distinction. Jackie D. Henderson. Emily Rose Hickey, with distinction. Ishmael Herji, with distinction. Tiffany Jagodich, with distinction. Brooke Ashley Shelby Jansen. Nicola Campion Jeffs, with distinction. Monica Lynn Jensen, with distinction. Lisa A. Jones. Zachary Christopher Jones. Tyler John Michael Jordan, with distinction. Matthew Ryan Cornia. Shona Nadine Kotecki. Michael Kristolovich, with distinction. Charlotte Katie Cook. Laura A. Coopers, with distinction. Doris Wing-Shung Lung. Alyssa Marie Lima. Caitlin Alexandra Link. Kendra Lynn Lateplo. Allison Louise Margaret Little, with distinction. Helen Mary Longrig, with distinction. Monica Catherine Alice McKenzie. Rebecca Francis McLean, with distinction. Robert Sidney Manson. Melissa Brooke Marshman, with distinction. Oh, wonderful. Marnica Teresa Marshman, with distinction. Sharon Louise McGurl Vanderpool. Megan Brianne Malio. Michelle Denise Munger. Jocelyn Ann Charlebois Murat. Brittany O'Neill. Christiane Marie Orsini. Laura Corrine O'Shaughnessy Hunter. Kimberly Painter. Christy Palangio. Christine Parker. Elizabeth Demery Pask. Hillary Peach. Erin Michelle Phillips, with distinction. Diane Pelletieri, with distinction. Megan Elizabeth Pino, with distinction. Tara Elizabeth Plant, with distinction. Aaron Price, with distinction. Kirsty Nicole Puskas, with distinction. David Reno, with distinction. Zainab Sachu Pajani. Sarah Austin Skilkey, with distinction. Lisa Catherine Scott. Lee Sertsima, with distinction. Nicholas Snyder. Carolyn Joanna Rose Harrop-Steen. Monica Ann Stevens, with distinction. Renee Stoddard, with distinction. Luann Marie Strom, with distinction. Chanel Lindsay Taylor. Lauren Lee Taylor. Ashley Marie Van Leeuwen, with distinction. Lucas John Peter Van Roy, with distinction. Nadine Anna Vogt. Pooja Wahi. Shannon Helene Weinberg, with distinction. Kathleen Marie Waldron. Kelly Ann Waselchu. Jennifer Lynn Wheeler, with distinction. Jacqueline Wignall. Wayne Andrew Wiskin. Heidi Ho-Yi Wong, with distinction. Davis Wood, with distinction. Michael Philip Woodward. Kathleen Margaret Yates. Michelle Mu Lin Yi, with distinction. Allison Gail Elizabeth Young. Andrea Elizabeth Zikovitz.
Can I ask you to do two more things for me? One, to recognize the Associate Dean, Cecilia Payne. This is her final convocation as the Associate Dean, and she does a great job with all the names, as does the Dean, Elizabeth Stowe. Mr. Chancellor, I would ask you to confer the various and several degrees on the graduands listed in the program, but unable to be present at this ceremony.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I confer the various and several degrees upon in absentia on the graduands not present.
Congratulations to the Emerald Elephants, the class of 2014. Reading your names at Convocation gives me great honor. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." Your dream to become a veterinarian has come true. You are all now doctors. After so many years of anticipation and hard work, here it is. After my graduation ceremony, a family member commented to me, "Well, now you won't have to study anymore." But of course, your love of learning and discovery only intensifies as you become a veterinarian. Within your lifetime, you may find many, many different ways to use your veterinary training. I will soon ask you to stand and read the veterinarian's oath, which is found on the first page of your program. But first, I'd like to spend just a few moments talking about what the oath means. It starts off with, "As a member of the veterinary medical profession, I solemnly swear that I will use my scientific knowledge and skills for the benefit of society." What is meant by society? It includes professional organizations, your classmates, those that come before and after you. It also includes clients. These can be animal owners, patients benefiting from your discoveries, people and animals having safe food, and perhaps even Mother Nature herself. The word society emphasizes the role of veterinarians in the world at large. As our OVC motto states, The craft of the veterinarian is for the good of the nation. It goes on to say, I will strive to promote animal health and welfare. This emphasizes health promotion. You have been well trained in preventive medicine, how to identify disease trends, how to look for the causes of disease. You may be called upon to advise on the welfare of animals, to develop protocols and policies to improve their welfare. It then says, prevent and relieve animal suffering. Whether this suffering is caused by the ravages of cancer, the loss of habitat from deforestation, or the neglect of an animal owner. It says, protect the health of the public and environment. Whether you are in private practice, working for the government, or in industry, you're a respected health professional. Your opinion and viewpoint counts. Make them known, although I think this class won't have a problem with that. And advance comparative medical knowledge. The comparative aspects of your education are really quite unique. From the first days of veterinary school, you learn the similarities and differences of many different species, both as individuals and populations. Always value your ability to solve problems and find solutions by taking into account the multiple dimensions of the ecosystem. And then it says, I will practice my profession conscientiously with dignity and in keeping with the principles of veterinary medical ethics. Most of the hard decisions you'll make in your life, the decisions about right and wrong, are done by yourself, with only you as the witness. Your ethical compass will guide you as you progress through your career. And then it will say, I will strive continuously to improve my professional knowledge and competence and to maintain the highest professional and ethical standards for myself and the profession. When I graduated a long time ago, I was told that one half of what I had learned would be found to be wrong or incomplete within 5 to 10 years. The challenge, of course, is figuring out which half that is, that's wrong or incomplete. With the current speed of knowledge and the knowledge creation, the half-life for you may be even shorter. The public has ever-increasing expectations of the abilities of veterinarians. You will learn from your clients and your patients and be humbled by these lessons. Most importantly, lifelong learning is essential for you to retain your joy in being a veterinarian. If you find yourself bored or disillusioned, follow your dreams in a new direction. The possibilities are endless. Our college, there's no question, has been enriched by the presence of the emerald elephants. Your energy, your commitment, all of us in the OVC community, students, faculty, and staff, wish you well in your future. Please keep in touch, and remember, we'll be watching. Inside joke, huh? Now, if our new veterinarians and any veterinarians on the platform or in the audience will stand, and if our new veterinarians will face their parents and their family and the rest of the audience, we'll all join in reading the veterinarian's oath. And we'll read it together, but not so fast that you can't think about it while you're saying it. As a member of the veterinary medical profession, I swear that I will use my scientific knowledge and skills for the benefit of society. I will strive to promote animal health and welfare, prevent and relieve animal suffering, protect the health of the public and environment, and advance comparative medical knowledge. I will practice my profession conscientiously with dignity and in keeping with the principles of veterinary medical ethics. I will strive continuously to improve my professional knowledge and competence and to maintain the highest professional and ethical standards for myself and the profession. Thank you and congratulations. You may sit down.
Mr. Chancellor. So what does it feel like? You did it. You actually finished after all of this time. You've got your piece of parchment that says it, the paper that proves that you did, and you're good to go. You are now both graduates of the OVC and the University of Guelph. You are now fully fledged Guelph Griffins. Congratulations. But before you stride away from here to the many things that you're going to do, I'd just like to spend a little bit of time thinking about what it really means to be a veterinarian, to be a graduate from the OVC, and to be a Guelph Griffin. Well, I hope you take away from here a lot of information, and usually I say to classes, most of that has probably evaporated already, but in your case, it can't. You have got to keep your knowledge current, but I also think that you have another charge. You have to be critical, aware, and caring citizens. You have to be the kind of people who can use information to generate knowledge and wisdom. You have to be the people who care about the planet and the people on it. I have no doubt that you are each a person who knows how to do things, a person who wants to change lives and improve life. But I have a few words to send you off with that I consider to be the Griffin Code. I hope that what they will do is to help you think about the way you can make a difference, not only in your own lives, but in the lives of others. This code is a mantra, a list of words all starting with the letter L, and I hope they will both define you, but also be a help on the days when you are feeling less confident. Because let me assure you, no matter who we are, no matter how successful we appear to be, we all have days, we all have moments when doubts creep in and we wonder whether it's worth it. So here are the 7 L's to live by. Number 1, live. Live your life to the fullest, every single moment of it. Push yourself to do something new. Try everything at least once. You'll never know whether you like something or not unless you've tried it. And in doing so, you might discover something about yourself and a passion. Or at least, you'll have a funny story to tell about the things that you tried that were really stupid. So live. The second is laugh. Laugh at yourself and with others. Nothing should ever be too serious not to find something to laugh about. When I first started to work in the refugee camps in Kenya, I was truly puzzled, despite the fact that the people I was meeting have absolutely nothing, and in many cases I was gazing into the faces that are merely a facade for the deep and unimaginable sadness and tragedy that they have experienced. These people laugh. Why would they do that? And then I realized they laugh in the face of adversity to chase away the gloom and defy despair. They laugh to make their own lives better and the lives of others around them. So live, laugh, and the third is learn. Never stop learning. Only by being alert to the changing world around you, by being flexible and alive to possibilities, and taking the time really to learn about a situation, will you be able to live a life that is filled with possibilities, change, and hope. So live, laugh, learn, listen. Only by truly listening to others will you really understand what is going on in the world. But don't just listen to them. Listen to your own heart. Deep down, all of us have a passion, a voice, a moral compass, a sense of what is right or wrong, what makes us happy or sad. Listen to that heart and work tirelessly to hear the beatings of its rhythm and the pulse of others, to know how to act with courage and commitment. So live, laugh, learn, listen, leave. Know when it is time to go, time to move on and leave others behind to take up the work you've been doing. Have confidence that the footprints you leave behind will make a difference, because if you've done your job well, those prints will be an indelible mark on the lives of others. And the shifting sands of time will not wash them away, but create a permanent memento of what you have done, what you have achieved through the lives of others. So live, laugh, learn, listen, leave. And the sixth is something we all need: luck. All of us require that special piece of magic to see and seize the opportunities in front of us. So you need to be on the lookout for them, because they're there all the time. They just happen to be disguised. William Jefferson once wrote, "Opportunities," I think that's his word for luck, "opportunities usually come dressed in overalls." It was his way of saying, you've really got to put effort into your own lives to make the luck for yourselves. So live, laugh, learn, listen, leave, luck. And I'm going to leave the seventh one, the seventh L, to a demonstration. I'm going to ask the graduating class to stand up and turn round and face those people who have given you the seventh L over the last many, many years, and give them a thunderous round of applause. Thank you. Please sit down again. So I don't know if you noticed, but that was a beautiful example of a test of human behavior. When you stood up, some of you, as the graduating class, did this. And the people that you were applauding did this in return. And then it got a little bit bigger and a bit bigger, until there were people doing this. That is the seventh L. So, now you are a fully fledged Griffin. Go out and take on the world, because we really need you. In a world that is riven by injustice, that is challenged by dogma, prejudice, and disadvantage, our absolute hope is in you. Do something. Do something. I suspect that a number of you will take on leadership issues on some of the incredible, challenging, and daunting tasks that face society. But I'm going to ask you to do something that is much more significant. I'm going to ask each one of you to make a commitment today, now, that from this day forward, every day of your life, you will improve the life of at least one other person. And how do you do that? Well, do you remember that little experiment? There is something that's absolutely unique to human animals. No other animal does this. If you smile at a human being, no matter how upset or miserable, sad or depressed or fed up they are, and you keep smiling, they cannot help smile back, just like you're doing. And in doing so, you change their lives and your own. Find ways to include people of all ages and stages, all genders and races, in everything that we do to make this a better planet. So, take that parchment, take the values and ideals that you have learned here, take your friendships that I know will last a lifetime, and armed with your Griffin code, get out of here. Those of us that are left behind will be watching you with great pride. But before you go, I have a real favor to ask. You represent the future, and I know that it will mean a great deal to me to still remain part of that future, so I'd like to take a selfie. So, just excuse me. Thank you. I'll tweet that out later. After Convocation, the Dean has made arrangements for there to be a reception in the atrium of the Science Complex. I hope that you will be able to attend and that you will make sure you take the opportunity to say thank you to all of those people that you owe a tremendous amount of thanks to. Take lots of pictures. Strangely, the brain forgets, and you need some kind of hook to bring back those memories of being at university. So take lots of pictures so that you can laugh with each other about what you looked like as you walked across the stage today. How many of you regretted having such long hair that you had to flick out of the way? How many of you panicked about the fact that the very, very, very high-heeled shoes that you were wearing were most likely to catapult you down the stairs? And I'm not sure what the girls would be saying. Take lots of pictures, because those will be important, and like alumni from the university over the years, you will take them out and you will look at them and say to each other, wow, you haven't changed a bit. Or perhaps in some cases you'll be saying, I used to have a hair in those days. Take lots of pictures, but please, before you go, remember to return your gowns either to the tent here, or you can drop them off in the Science Complex atrium. This is the 20th Convocation ceremony that we have done this week. It actually finishes all the Convocation ceremonies. And I would like to ask you to join me in thanking a number of people. First of all, the two signers who have been here throughout the week, simultaneously translating the words of all of us. Thank you. Next, don't creep back into the crowd, Coral. I would like the Marshal, Coral Morant, to come forward, who is at the back of the hall. Thank you, of course, Mr. Chancellor, for your dedication to the university and for being here through those ceremonies too. And last, but by no means least, the countless countless hordes of volunteers, ground staff, hospitality staff, and personnel who have made all of these possible. Thank you to all of them. In a moment, the Chancellor will close the convocation ceremony. It will be an opportunity for you to truly appreciate that you are actually graduated. But there's going to be an opportunity then for the platform party to depart, or at least those of the platform party who are not involved in the awards ceremony that will follow. So if you would allow those of us to escape, then we can continue with the next part of the ceremony. Thank you very much indeed.
Convocation is not yet quite finished. Would you please cue the music? Oh, you're first?
Yeah. Yeah, me first. As some of you may know, this is Alistair's final convocation ceremony as president. Later this afternoon, the campus community will hold a celebration to thank and recognize him for his 11 years of leadership as president of the University of Guelph. But we're hoping all of you will help us get the party started early. And in fact, with a little help from my friend, the Chancellor, I'd like to think that we can imagine all the ways in which Alistair has made Guelph a place that we will all remember. David?
And now I say, cue the music.
Yay!
There are places we remember all our lives, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone and some remain. All these places have their moments. With teachers and friends, we still can recall. Some are dead and some are living. In our lives, we loved them all. But of all these friends and teachers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when we think of Guelph as something new, though we know we'll never lose affection for people and things that came before. We know we'll often stop and think about you. In our lives, we love them more. Though we'll know we'll never lose affection for people and things that went before, we know we'll often stop and think about you. In our lives, we loved Guelph more.
because we're happy.
No other room without a roof.
Because we're happy, clap along with us now. Because Alistair is the best. Because we're happy, clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because we're happy, clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring us down, can nothing bring us down. Our level's too high. Bring us down, can nothing bring us down. Because we're happy, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because we're happy, clap along with us now. Because Alistair is the best. Because we're happy, clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because we're happy, clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Because we're happy.
Convocation is now dismissed.
Please be seated. So, if there was ever a hard act to follow, that's it. I'll do my best. Good morning. Dr. Stone, honored guests, fellow veterinarians, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ontario Veterinary College's Convocation Awards ceremony. If we haven't met, I'm Peter Conlon and I'm the Associate Dean of Students at OVC. In our ceremony today, we are recognizing members of the OVC community who've made outstanding contributions to it. They're being honored for a wide range of accomplishments, faculty members for their teaching and research skills, and graduates for their academic prowess and their contributions to the betterment of the college and the profession. A few housekeeping details first. Please look on the program to see when your award is coming up and if presenters and recipients would rendezvous here on the stage to my right and receive our congratulations. Smile for the camera as our photographer takes a picture for posterity. And if I don't happen to announce an award that is in the program, it is because the recipient is unfortunately unable to be here with us today. So, our first awards today are the OVC Alumni Association Proficiency Prizes. These prizes are donated by the Alumni Association to the 3 graduates with the highest academic standing in the final year of the DVM program. The Alumni Association links the college with its graduates and is a very strong supporter of OVC and our student veterinarians. The awards are presented by Dr. Brad Hanna, who's from the class of OVC 1989, and is a faculty member in the Department of Biomedical Sciences and president of the OVC Alumni Association. Dr. Hanna is also one of the honorary class presidents for the class. And the recipients of these awards, first standing, Dr. Rochelle Nundorf, second standing, Dr. Anna Aliseri, third standing, Dr. Matthew Cornia. Oops. Yes. Oh, good. I thought you'd left the building. Here we go. Thank you. Oh, folks, you need to get a photograph. There we go. And Rochelle is unfortunately not able to be here today. There we go. It's always hard to be leaders when you got to do something the first time. So will future recipients please come up the stairs in the middle? There we go. The Catherine Elizabeth Long DVM Memorial Prize is presented in memory of Catherine Long from the class of OVC 1988. The award is given to a graduate who is elected by their classmates as a person who strives most consistently to apply the highest standards of veterinary knowledge and skill while showing concern for animals' comfort and welfare. Dr. Rob Butler from the class of OVC 88, who's a classmate of Dr. Long's and owner of the Guelph Animal Hospital, presents this award to Dr. Monica Jensen. Oh, too fast, I think. There we go. Are we good now, Grant? The Beloved of Friends Award. The award honors Missy, the McBride family dog, who died in 1985 at the grand age of 20. It is presented for kindness and care in the treatment of animals in the medicine and surgery clinics at OVC. Dr. Neil McCluskey, who's the chair of the Department of Biomedical Sciences at OVC, presents this award to Dr. Diane Pilateri. There we go. Dr. Molly Carrington was an intern in the OVC Small Animal Clinic when she died in 1981 of cancer. The award was initiated by the class of OVC 78 and is presented in memory of their classmate. The award is for a graduate who has demonstrated high standards of care and compassion for small animal patients. Dr. Pavneesh Madan, a faculty member in biomedical sciences and a member of the OVC Awards Committee, presents this award to Dr. Nina Gauthier. Summit Veterinary Pharmacy created the Summit Veterinary Pharmacy Prize in Clinical Pharmacology to recognize a graduate who's exhibited superior performance in the field of clinical pharmacology. The award is presented by Mr. Don Organ, founder and chairman of Summit Veterinary Pharmacy, and the recipient is Dr. Julia Cicchini. The Ontario Veterinary Medical Association, Erie Veterinary Association Herd Health and Population Medicine Prize is the next award. The Ontario Veterinary Medical Association is the organization that represents veterinarians and our interests in the province. The award is presented to the graduate with the highest average in health management courses at OVC. And Dr. Robert Van Dels from the class of OVC 1995, who's the president of the OVMA, presents this award to Dr. Paisley Canning. The following two awards in the discipline of ophthalmology are presented by Dr. Chantal Pinar, a faculty member in the Department of Clinical Studies at OVC. The American College of Veterinary Ophthalmologists Annual Award. This award recognizes excellent knowledge, interest, and aptitude in ophthalmology during the small animal clinic rotation. And the recipient of this award is Dr. Kathleen Yates. And Dr. Pinard also presents the Aventix Animal Health Prize in Ophthalmology for the graduate with the greatest proficiency in the ophthalmology rotation in small animal clinics. And the recipient of this award is Dr. Rebecca McLean. The Dr. Wendy Parker Prize in Dermatology is sponsored by Aventix, and it is given for the greatest achievement in the dermatology rotation in the small animal clinics. The award is named for Dr. Parker, a retired professor from the Department of Clinical Studies, who is here to present this award to Dr. Tyler Jordan. The next two awards are being presented by Dr. Cheyenne Sharif, who's the Acting Associate Dean, Research and Innovation, and a faculty member in the Department of Pathobiology. The F.W. Schofield Prize in Pathology was established in recognition of Dr. Schofield's contributions in the field of veterinary pathology and is presented to the graduate with the highest ranking in the discipline. Dr. Frank Schofield, class of OVC 1910, was a renowned humanitarian and researcher. He taught pathology and bacteriology at OVC and made several important discoveries, including work underlying the development of anticoagulant drugs. The recipient of this award is Dr. Aaron Phillips. And the American College of Veterinary Pathologists Award recognizes a graduate with outstanding achievement, proficiency, and interest in veterinary pathology. The recipient is Dr. Matt Cornia. The next three awards recognize surgical skill. The American College of Veterinary Surgeons Student Surgery Awards are presented to graduates judged to show the most interest in academic and clinical proficiency in surgery. One award is for proficiency in large animal surgery and one in small. Dr. Tom Gibson from the Department of Clinical Studies presents these awards to Dr. Jackie Henderson, large animals, and Dr. Whitney DeGroot, companion animals. Kaivet Memorial Prize in Surgery is given in memory of Thomas Morris Kaivet, OVC 66. It was established by his classmates. It is given for proficiency and interest in the discipline of surgery. Dr. Gibson presents this award to Dr. Laura Adey. The W.J.R. Fowler Prize, named for Dr. Fowler, graduated from OVC in 1899. He was a faculty member in the college for 55 years and was renowned for his skill in surgery. The award is given for highest proficiency in equine medicine and surgery. Dr. Luis Arroyo from the Department of Clinical Studies presents this award to Dr. Kristen Ferguson. I am particularly jealous of people who receive awards in surgery because there was absolutely no danger when I was a student that I would have received any kind of award like that. It was my biggest challenge, which is why I ended up as a pharmacologist, I think, rather than a surgeon. The Mariel Incorporated Prize of Merit in Feline Medicine is presented to a graduate for proficiency in small animal medicine with particular aptitude in feline medicine and patient care. It is presented by Dr. Fran Rotondo, Technical Service Veterinarian at Mariel Animal Health, and the recipient of the award is Dr. Matthew Cornea. The American Association of Feline Practitioners Prize is awarded to the graduate showing particular interest and aptitude in feline medicine and surgery. Dr. Tiffany Dursey from the class of OVC 2000, who is a veterinarian at the Smith Lane Animal Hospital in the Hills Pet Nutrition Primary Healthcare Center at OVC. I'm out of breath now. Presents this award to Dr. Nina Gauthier. The following awards recognize excellence in critical care and are presented by Dr. Alexa Bersanis, OVC 1998. She is the Chief of the Emergency and Critical Care Service. The Veterinary Emergency and Critical Care Society Award for Proficiency in Emergency and Critical Care recognizes a graduate who displays extraordinary commitment and proficiency in emergency and critical care. Dr. Tiffany Jagodich is the recipient of this award. Pause for the Cause, a Toronto-based organization that helps pay for surgeries that dogs need but their owners can't always afford, has established the Chloe Award in Canine Critical Care to recognize a graduating DVM student who has excelled in the area of canine critical care during the small animal intensive care rotation. And the recipient of this award is Dr. Kathy McKenzie. The Dr. John Reeve Newson Emergency Medicine Prize is presented by the Veterinary Emergency Clinic of Toronto in recognition of the exceptional contributions of Dr. Reeve Newson to the clinic and to the profession. The prize is presented for highest academic standing in the emergency and critical care medicine rotation, and the recipient is Dr. Tanya Aitken. The College of Veterinarians of Ontario is a licensing body for veterinarians in the province, and it also ensures that the public interest is protected. The College of Veterinarians of Ontario Prize is given to a graduate chosen by his or her classmates who has been active in college and university affairs. Presented by Ms. Jan Robinson, Registrar and Chief Executive Officer for the CVO. The recipient is Dr. Lisa Scott. The Veterinary Cancer Society Student Award for Proficiency in Clinical Oncology was created by the Veterinary Cancer Society to recognize a graduate who is deemed to have outstanding aptitude for and competence in the diagnosis, treatment, and general care of companion animals affected by malignant diseases. The recipient is chosen based on knowledge about and overall clinical care of animals with cancer. Dr. Paul Woods, from the OVC class of 1985 and professor of internal medicine and oncology in the Department of Clinical Studies, presents this award to Dr. Matthew Cornea. The International Veterinary Academy of Pain Management Excellence Award is presented annually to a graduate selected by faculty and staff who has achieved distinction among his or her peers in the area of animal pain management through academic prowess and by demonstrating understanding of analgesics and analgesic modalities. Presented by Dr. Tiffany Dursey, you know where she's from, to Dr. Tyler Jordan. The American College of Veterinary Radiology Senior Student Award is presented to a graduate who excels in clinical radiology during their small animal clinic rotation and who shows outstanding enthusiasm and understanding in diagnostic and therapeutic radiology. Dr. Stephanie Niekamp, a graduate of OVC 1997, who is a faculty member in radiology and also the Associate Dean Clinical Program at OVC, presents this award to Dr. Nicola Jeffs. The American College of Veterinary Anesthesiologists Clinical Proficiency Award recognizes a graduate who exemplifies clinical proficiency in the disciplines of anesthesia and pain management. Dr. Melissa Sinclair, Associate Professor in Anesthesiology from Clinical Studies, presents the award to Dr. Hilary Peach. The American College of Veterinary Internal Medicine has created awards to recognize graduates who demonstrate outstanding didactic knowledge and clinical skills in internal medicine and who reflect the mission of the ACVIM, which is to enhance animal and human health by advancing veterinary internal medicine through training, education, and discovery. Dr. Paul Woods presents the American College of Veterinary Internal Medicine certificates of clinical excellence to Dr. Jessica Ellison for large animal internal medicine, Dr. Kendra Ledeplow for clinical excellence in small animal internal medicine, and Dr. Monica Jensen for excellence in small animal neurology. Zoetis sponsors 2 awards, one for proficiency in large animal medicine and one for small animal medicine. They are presented today by Dr. Kathy Ray from the class of OVC 1979, who is the manager of veterinary services equine for Zoetis. And the recipients are Dr. Amy Elliott for large animals and Dr. Erin Price, companion animals. Many of our awards recognize the expertise of our graduates in food animal practice. The Grey Bruce Farmers Week Prize was established to recognize new veterinarians entering practice in Grey or Bruce counties working with food animals. Grey Bruce Farmers Week is a 6-day agricultural conference, and 2014 marks its 48th year of educational programming. Mr. Bill Heron, who's the Secretary-Treasurer of the Grey County Cattlemen's Association, presents this award to Dr. Kimberly Painter. The Ontario Association of Bovine Practitioners Prize is given for proficiency in bovine herd health management and interest in bovine practice. Dr. Kelly Barrett, OVC 2005, and board member of the Ontario Association of Bovine Practitioners, presents this award to Dr. David Renaud. The Dr. Samuel Downing Stirk Memorial Prize honors Dr. Samuel Stirk and is given to a graduate with the best diagnostic ability in large animals. Dr. Stirk was born on a farm at Roslyn, Ontario in Hastings County. He graduated from OVC at the age of 20 in 1912 and began a veterinary practice in Brampton, Ontario. He practiced there for 66 years. So 2080, I think that's when, if you beat his record, you'll be in practice that long. He was a mentor to many young veterinarians, many of whom went on to become highly respected in the profession. We're very pleased that Dr. Stirk's great-granddaughters, Jennifer and Ann Stirk, are here to present this award to Dr. Lee Siertsma. The Holstein Association of Canada Prize is presented to the graduate who has the highest academic achievement in bovine medicine and health management courses. Mr. Gerald Schipper, board member of Holstein Canada, presents this award to Dr. Kristen Ferguson. The Dr. R.I. Curtis Bovine Award recognizes the significant contributions to bovine practice made by Dr. Curtis, who graduated from OVC in 1961. He was a faculty member both here at the college and at the Atlantic Veterinary College in Charlottetown. He was a pioneer in his profession and introduced many of the concepts of herd health practice in North America that are common today. The award is given to a graduate with high academic standing, excellent clinical competence, and demonstrated interest in bovine medicine. Dr. Kate Dewey from OVC 1979, and who is the chair of the Population Medicine Department, presents this award to Dr. Rebecca Cornell. Next year, we'll have a little X on the floor, just for granted. The Dr. W.J. Stinson Scholarship has been donated to honor Dr. Stinson on his retirement from practice in Perth, Ontario in 1977. The award is given for proficiency in bovine reproduction and obstetrics in large animal practice. Dr. Joanne Hewson, OVC 1996, and a faculty member from Clinical Studies and a representative on the OVC Awards Committee, presents this award to Dr. David Renaud. The Ontario Pork Producers Marketing Board Prize is presented to the graduate who is the most proficient in the study of swine diseases and in the health management and welfare of swine. Mr. John DeBruin, board member of Ontario Pork, presents this award to Dr. Paisley Canning. The Small Ruminant Veterinarians of Ontario established the Small Ruminant Veterinarians of Ontario Prize to recognize a graduate who exhibits great competence and interest in small ruminant medicine. Dr. Chris Bushbeck from the class of OVC 1999, president of the Small Ruminant Veterinarians of Ontario, presents this award to Dr. Lee Siertsma. The Dr. Jack Lang Memorial Scholarship is named for Dr. Lang, who graduated from OVC in 1971, and he was an equine practitioner in Trenton, Ontario. And it recognizes the best externship case report dealing with an equine clinical condition. Dr. Dan Kenny, a veterinarian in a large animal hospital at OVC, presents this award to Dr. Allison Young. The OVC 75 Prize in memory of Aki Sassage was established by his classmates and colleagues, and it is given to the graduate with the highest standing in the veterinary externship course. Dr. Roger Thompson, who is a member of the class of OVC 1975, presents this award to Dr. Kimberly Painter. The Dr. Jonathan Bloom OVC 93 Ambassadorial Scholarship is awarded based on initiative and motivation in an elective or externship experience outside of OVC, and the recipient is selected based on the evaluation by the elective host and the manner in which the college and the profession were represented. Dr. Jonathan Bloom, who is a clinician at the Willowdale Animal Hospital in Toronto, presents this award to Dr. Monica Marshman. The Dr. Jim Bell Prize honors Dr. Bell from Bellbrae Animal Hospital, and the Featherson Charitable Foundation has established this award. Nominees are put forward by OVC faculty based on students' demonstration of compassion and dedication to their small animal patients. From among the nominees, their classmates have chosen the award recipient based on a willingness to mentor others, the ability to work well individually and within a team, self-motivation, and willingness to accept a challenge. Ms. Krisha Piorczynski, Director of the Featherson Charitable Foundation, presents this award to Dr. Diane Pillateri. The Hills Buddy Prize is the next award. In 1943, a veterinarian, Dr. Mark Morris, proposed that some diseases in pets could be managed through carefully formulated diets, which was quite a novel concept at the time. A young man named Morris Frank asked Dr. Morris if anything could be done to save his guide dog, Buddy, who was suffering from kidney failure. The result of Dr. Morris's efforts was the nutritional formulation that would become the world's first pet food designed to help dogs with kidney disease. The award is presented for exhibiting the greatest interest, knowledge, and proficiency in clinically applying nutritional knowledge to the treatment and management of diseases of companion animals. Dr. Robert Van Delst, Manager of Veterinary Affairs at Hills Pet Nutrition, presents this award to Dr. Aaron Phillips. We're very pleased that we can present 2 new awards this year, and I will ask the Dean, Dr. Stone, to present the Lagerquest Award.
I'm pleased to announce this award. Mr. Gus Lagerquist was a World War II veteran who came to OVC, and having graduated, actually not graduated from high school before he joined the military and then served for several years, he came back and started veterinary school. They put them through a 5 or 6 month rehabilitation school to catch up with the last 2 years of high school before they started veterinary school. Well, Gus found that his interests and talents lie much more in sales and in marketing, and he founded Central Veterinary Sales in Ontario, and was extremely successful. And he helped many, many practitioners over the years get their start in veterinary practices by extending loans and providing equipment and supplies for them. So last summer, in honor of Gus's 90th birthday, we created the Gus Lagerquist 5V Award. And it's to honor Gus for his outstanding contributions to the OVC and the veterinary profession. And the 5V Award recognizes Gus as a World War II veteran who fought for victory and is very valued by the veterinary profession. Sadly, Gus died this spring, and I'm sure, though, that he would be very pleased with the recipient of this new award that epitomizes his character and qualities. And this award is for a graduate who is selected by their classmates as the student who has worked hard to build class unity and teamwork, focused on helping others rather than him or herself, advocated for OVC within the college and externally, demonstrated business acumen, and has the desire and ability to advance the veterinary profession. So I'm very pleased to present the inaugural award to Dr. Sherry Vanderpool.
And we're very honored to be able to present the next award as well. The Dr. Bob Hayes Memorial Prize was created in memory of Dr. Hayes from the class of OVC 1978. Dr. Hayes was a large animal practitioner and well-respected and highly valued veterinarian in the field of food safety and animal welfare. He held senior positions with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture and Food. The award is being established by his family to recognize his commitment to veterinary medicine. It is presented to a graduate from the food animal stream of the final year of the program who demonstrates involvement in and knowledge about food safety issues in veterinary medicine. We're very pleased that Dr. Hayes' children, Sean and Dr. Aaron Hayes, are here to present this first award to Dr. Lee Seartsma. And we will now present the Andrew Smith Memorial Medal. The Ontario Veterinary College presents his gold medal in memory of Dr. Smith, who was the founder of the college in 1862. The medal is given for exemplary scholastic ability and proficiency in clinical fields, and it is the highest honor bestowed upon a graduate by the college. The Dean, Dr. Elizabeth Stone, presents the Andrew Smith Memorial Medal to Dr. Matthew Cornea. That concludes the awards for our graduating class, and now we're pleased to present awards for recognizing our faculty. Dr. Stone and Dr. Sherry Vandepoel, who is the co-president for the class of OVC 2014, present the K.M. Batnagar Memorial Humanitarian Award for a faculty member who best portrays the attributes of Dr. Batnagar, a faculty member in biomedical sciences from 1968 to 1989. The recipient should be active in University of Guelph affairs, involved with students as both friend and counselor, and expressed a genuine concern towards their well-being. This year's the recipient of this award, Dr. Stephanie Nykamp from the Department of Clinical Studies. The Marielle Award for Excellence in Clinical Teaching is presented to a veterinarian having taught in clinical rotations to students in Phase 4 of the DV program, and is presented based on the results of a class vote. The criteria are teaching ability, dedication to the discipline, character, and leadership. Dr. Elizabeth Stone and Dr. Fran Rotundo from Marielle Animal Health present this award to Dr. Chantal Pinar. Dr. Stone and Dr. Kathy Ray present the Carl J. Norden Distinguished Teacher Award. This award recognizes an outstanding teacher who, through their ability, dedication, and leadership, contributes significantly to the advancement of the veterinary profession. The recipient of the award this year, Dr. Jeff Thomason, Department of Biomedical Sciences. Dr. Stone and Dr. Ray also present the Zoetis Faculty Award for Research Excellence. This award was created to foster innovative research on which the scientific advancement of the profession depends by recognizing outstanding research effort and productivity. It is presented to a member of faculty nominated by his or her peers as an outstanding researcher. The recipient of the award this year is Dr. Bonnie Millard of the Department of Pathobiology. Please join me once more in congratulating all of our award recipients. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Sherry Vandepoel, who has been chosen by her classmates as their valedictorian.
Dean Stone, esteemed members of the faculty, our dear supportive friends and family, and most amazingly, the great class of 2014, congratulations on becoming veterinarians. I'm honored to be here today to commemorate the fact that now you're in the room with just over about 100 new veterinarians. So if you're feeling a little sick and you happen to be non-human, you've definitely come to the right place. Parents, friends, families, well, you know you're in the right place. So what can I tell you about the person you're here for today? Well, as you probably know, classes are known by an animal and a color, and in our case, it's the emerald elephants. Our class is pretty exceptional. We might be a little subdued in class at times, but we're a year full of smart people, and we know how to have a good time. It's a class that has a great empathy for the non-human creatures in the world, and we're a class that knows how to be good to each other. Myself, along with Chris Whipp, have been proud to be class presidents, but being in that position for the past 4 years has been interesting, to say the least. It gave me a chance to get to know a lot of people in our class, but from time to time we got some pretty strange requests, maybe stress-induced, and it wasn't limited to one person either. But there was a certain classmate of ours that seemed to find a particular fascination with adding to the virtual class suggestion box. I remember once, perhaps unwisely, asking for general feedback and ideas. Most of you know it's not always a good idea. Ryan knows that. Suggestions ranged from implementing a Naked Tuesday program, obtaining a cat for each classroom, and naturally 2 cats for larger classrooms. 1800 has a lot of cat-friendly real estate. Tasmanian tiger cloning program, and I'd like to say thanks, Matt Cornea, for making my job a little more interesting. There was also a suggestion on a course for invertebrate medicine and surgery, and a revamping of the teaching horse program to comprise instead of the ill-tempered teaching zebra program. Brian Lee, one of my classmate Nina's husband, was driving her to school as horses were happily trotting by and cats are freely roaming in the parking lot, and he aptly pointed out the obvious. With a big smile on his face, he said, "Your school is weird." Sometimes it's felt kind of mundane. Sometimes there are similarities to like an animal-based Hogwarts. But the people you're sitting beside are some of the very few in the world that can actually commiserate on what it feels like to smell like rumen juice. And that is special. Vet school. So here we are at the end of it. It's been a crazy ride, and elephants never forget. Years ago, the journey started, making sure all your courses counted, doing the MCAT in that tiny little booth, and then there was that memorable day that you found out that you actually had an interview at OVC. Mind you, when your parents probably think back to the beginning of your journey, they picture a mini version of you putting on a tiny backpack and going to kindergarten. I saw the way they were waving at you all. Every step started to make that tenuous maybe begin to feel like a yes. There was that day you showed up in Guelph, ready for your MMIs, trying to feel prepared, trying to not project that you're nervous, taking a look at who the other applicants were. For some of us, Guelph already felt like home, whereas for others, it was our first time trying to find Stone Road. Each milestone, there were people to share the ups and downs with you. The first person I met, I remember, Marie Ashbourne. I was really nervous. She was there to help roam the halls with me and talk through things, and it was awesome. I was absolutely not surprised when I saw her there on the first day of school. Then there was that moment when you checked WebAdvisor and you saw the pixels on your computer actually form the word admitted, which I think a lot of us were confused about. I made a screenshot just so they couldn't take it back. Then there was Labor Day 2010. We all began sitting in 1714, of which I secretly wonder about the legality of starting us on a statutory holiday. So Dr. Conlon was the first to welcome the new students. Later on was a week. We did tours of campus. I remember Monica Petty being one of the friendliest people I thought I'd ever met. I remember Ty in the cafeteria later that week. He was loudly buying a piece of cheese and stating that he was attempting to really solidify his vegan diet. I thought really badly. And then he happened to give me a loan because I realized there wasn't a debit machine there. He was also the one fellow that wore tights, silver tights at the first frat night out, which solidified my view that he was somebody who knew how to have a good time, and later with his work in veterinary community outreach, that he cared a lot. That first frat event was one of the first big social events of vet school. Got us running through downtown Guelph and getting to know other people. We all have different but overlapping memories of those early days and impressions of people, unless you're like my husband Dave that has like a memento-like memory where he wonders how he got there. There was the first CVSA barbecue, and just a little story, personal story here. Previously that day, well, there was a bit of a misunderstanding with the business end of a cow. Kyle Bushy was my chief witness with Brittany O'Neill close at hand, and they had both sworn secrecy to the event. They were like solid on that, I thought. We would tell no one. And then sure enough, we show up at the CVSA barbecue. Nina, Victoria, and Davis are there, and I spill my guts in about 30 seconds as to what happened. So as per the Grad Prom Awards, yes, I did investigate the wrong hole of a cow due to a misunderstanding both on my end and the end of the good Dr. Swackhammer. One thing I learned is that if you're going to be a veterinarian, you can't take yourself too seriously. Also, apparently, I should not be an alibi for a crime. Throughout the 4 years, I've met and talked to each one of my classmates, and we've all formed important memories, from our group-specific parties, shout out to Group 12, to the Zen-like histology labs, of which I've never felt more relaxed in a classroom setting, perhaps wrongly, to our highlight of the year genetics videos, to hilarious tests given by a certain Dr. Trout, naming a particularly troubled goat, little Peter. You'll have to ask your family member about that. To the nerve-wracking med exams, edge-of-your-seat hockey games, our first real surgeries with our surgery groups, and Meg, Mon, and Kat, I've got the best surgery group. Frat nights out, our first rotations as fourth-year students. There's definitely something here for everyone at OVC. Vet school is hard when everything else in your life is going well. But when our personal lives have challenges, it makes it nearly impossible. You all know this. I watch my classmates being there for their friends, and then of course there are times we all could have been there for each other a little better, and that's something we'll continue to work on in life, because it's in those difficult times when it really counts. Some of us have been through sickness, surgeries, and difficult relationships. I think of Megan Monahan in our final year, going from not knowing anything was wrong to going through a serious and thankfully successful surgery within days, and the strength that took. Many of us have lost someone dear to us in vet school. I know what that feels like. I lost my aunt, my dad's twin sister, my dear, fun, lively, caring Auntie Anne in second year, and it was incredibly hard. There are at least 3 classmates here today who have lost parents during vet school, who would be also honored if we remembered them here today. We remember the amazing Bob Hayes, Aaron's father, for whom an award was named after today. We remember Bob Taylor, who was so loved by his daughter Chanel and her family. And we remember Ernest Painter, the loved father of Kim. Aaron, Chanel, Kim, we love you guys, and we hate that you've had to go through this. These are just incredible losses in life. And I'd like to remember these people and others who've lost close family members today. Almost all of us are now here without somebody during or before vet school who we would like to have here with us to celebrate. We will remember them and continue to bring their memories to us when times are hard, or when thinking of the great times we had together. That's something nobody can take away from us. Thinking of them validates our bond and brings them here with us. And when our day comes, there will be peace in us being in the thoughts of others. This is a really special building we're in here today. You may or may not know this, but this was actually built by the efforts of students, starting with their hard labor and vision. They wanted a place to commemorate their classmates that they'd lost in World War I. We can barely imagine what that feels like to have people in our class actually leave school, go off to a war, and not come back. Have their families not see them graduate. Their fellow students that wanted to put this up were told that they couldn't. They couldn't put a building here. There was an old stand of trees in the place that we're now standing and sitting. The students were so convinced that this needed to be done, they actually snuck here in the middle of the night and chopped the trees down. Not necessarily recommending that. And they started digging by hand the foundation. That's conviction and it's love. That's not waiting for the blessing of someone more senior in order to do what you know is right. And when looking back in history, it is the love and courage of those type of people who we most often honor. This is an attribute we can show as veterinarians. Vets like Tracy McNamara that we heard about from today. Vets that show the willingness to take leadership and take a stand when it needs to be done. In fact, here's to people who aren't satisfied with becoming a mediocre veterinarian, but strive to become that image of a veterinarian that inspired them to go into this field in the first place. As vets, we can practice regularly giving back. There was an ancient Jewish custom of not harvesting grain from an entire field, but leaving the corners or the edges so that the poor could come and harvest the grain. The poor would still need to do the work to remove and process it, but it would give them a chance to feed themselves with some dignity and some honesty. I really love this metaphor of how we should live our lives. We should routinely leave space along the edges of our life for other people. We should leave time around the edges of our life. If we do this routinely, yes, we'll take care of ourselves and our loved ones, that's not an issue, but in everything we do, we'll have a little extra to give back to others. Live well. Make the journey to your goals fun, so it's not about the destination. I remember back to when I was a kid and I was babysitting my neighbors in the old farmhouse. There's about 8 kids between the ages of 0 and 10, which is way too many kids between the ages of 0 and 10. And if I asked them to do something, chances are I'd have a full revolution on my hands, like they would not do it. But if I made it into a fun game, we could do anything. We'd build tents, or we might clean the house in 30 minutes, which their parents seem to prefer. But one of the big things is that when you're going through life, you have 2 choices. You have the choice to make something a fun, exciting moment, or a choice to just do it the normal, boring, mundane way. On the path you're on, make an effort to be creative. Believe you can do the impossible. Keep away from those people who spend their energy pulling people down. Be a builder of your personal life, of your career, of all your interests, and often forgotten but equally important, be a builder of others. So I'd just like to say a few thank yous. There are those classmates with amazing supportive families. There are those classmates that have troubled real-life problem families. And most often, there's a complex but lovable version of the two. One way or another, they were a part of you getting here. I'd personally like to give you a huge thank you to all the families that are here, the families that are here presently and all the families that are in the science atrium today, too, watching. I know I'd like to give a thank you to my husband, David, with whom I probably wouldn't be here today because I need to be told when to wake up. I married him a month into first year, and he actually has his own fans at vet school. Rob Berger, you know who you are. My dad, Alan, he would say, "You're a McGuirl, you could do this," when I'd call him from the halls after my first real-world smacking me in the face cardiology test. My mom, Flory, who is honest and smart and good and who raised 5 incredible children. My 8 brothers and sisters, in-laws and outlaws. My mother and father-in-law, my father-in-law actually helped me study for the NAVLE. My incredible friends, both here at vet school and outside this strange little world. My colleagues who continually fascinate and challenge me. And then the mentors who took the time to see something good in me, those before vet school, and the special teachers in vet school that touched so many lives. And there's a lot of them sitting behind me right now. And then I'd like to just say a quick thanks to our class council. There's regular members like Chris, Ryan, who did an amazing job being our vice president, our treasurer, Kathy, secretary, Charlotte, social committee, Meg, Monica, Whitney, Sam, those that did our merch, Dork, Kelly, Michelle, Sadie, Chanel, those who took care of hockey and athletics, Anna, Ryan, yearbook team, Brittany, Marie, animal care, equipment, Brooke and Lisa, the bulletin board teams, Chanel, who made birthdays special in first year, if you remember that. Those on CVSA, those who ran the vet prom, those people who took time to be course reps, those who are prominent in clubs, and all those who did extra things to make vet school great. When I start to say that, I think it's almost everybody who's sitting here in front of me who's done something extra to make this special to be here today. So I'd like to thank you. Maybe it was just for a good resume, maybe it was because you wanted to give back, but for whatever reason it is, just keep it up. It makes a difference. So here's the class of 2014. Make this day a start of a new vision for your life. Be a vet who inspires people, who makes others proud to be veterinarians, and teaches others the value of our connections to animals and to people. If you're going into food animal medicine, don't lose sight of the fact that, for instance, dairy cows, they are mothers and daughters, and that all creatures should be treated with respect. And those going into companion animal medicine, that there are harsh realities in a world full of creatures struggling for survival. Money can't and perhaps sometimes shouldn't always fix that. And if you're going into exotics, then just post lots of pictures on Facebook. There are issues we struggle with, and the struggle themselves can be good. It means we're thinking. It means we're challenging ourselves. Be great. Remember who you are and who you want to be. Enjoy the journey. Congratulations to the class of 2014, Doctors of Veterinary Medicine, the Emerald Elephants. I'd like to present, we have 3 honorary class presidents. 2 of them are here with us today. And I'd like to call first Dr. Brad Hanna. Dr. Hanna was, yes, Dr. Brad Hanna, please. You can tell I don't give a lot of awards out. Dr. Hanna was one of the teachers who helped us remember antibiotics, made a crazy, amazing trophy, was there for hockey, was just there in all situations, and we really appreciate him. We obviously do, because we all voted for him, so. And our other honorary class president, who I almost can't believe actually made it here today, she is amazing. Dr. Ali Gillen. She not only was there for us when we were starting surgeries and we had questions, and oh my goodness, we pestered her with questions in that tiny room in the back, and she was always so nice and so patient and so knowledgeable and always looking up stuff herself on Vin, and we all appreciate her so much, obviously. So here you go. Thank you all, Emerald Elephants!
Thanks, Sherry, and congratulations, Allie and Brad. I wonder if I might have a few words in closing before we go. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier, as your daughter's sons, brothers, sisters, spouses, partners, or friend's name was read aloud by the dean, and he or she was admitted to the Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, I'm sure many memories flooded back to you of the day that person entered your life through birth or love or friendship. Memories of the ups and downs, laughter and tears, meetings and partings, and hopes and dreams that you've shared since then. One of those memories will be perhaps of the first time you heard from your graduate that they wanted to be an animal doctor. Although it is certainly one of the most popular career choices of the elementary school set, these folks in OVC 2014 didn't make it just their grade 3 career goal, they made it their life goal. Although we pretty much all pass through that stage of life where animals are comforting early companions, for some of us, that animal attachment sticks more strongly and persistently than for others. Almost everybody loves animals, but far fewer decide that they want to have a career where they also have to get along with them, and more importantly, with the people who accompany them. Perhaps we connect with animals early in life because among the first things for babies are, of course, animal-shaped toys, and many alphabet books use animal examples to illustrate the letters. As well, animal idioms enrich our everyday language. Maybe you've known someone who's slippery as an eel, funny as a barrel of monkeys, strong as an ox, gentle as a lamb, mad as a wet hen, or nasty as a bag of cats. Have you ever said, "Don't have a cow"? It's raining cats and dogs. He's sitting in the catbird seat. Oh, those are just crocodile tears. It's time to separate the sheep from the goats, or don't count your chickens before they're hatched. Yet, when so many people are exposed to animals throughout our lives and don't become veterinarians, why are you different, OVC 2014? Why did you decide that you wanted to spend your career interacting with them in some form or other? To help answer that question, perhaps we can turn the clock back to February 2010, when several hundred people, including you, the then future members of the Emerald Elephants, were sitting down and staring hard at a blank computer screen. Blank, that is, except for one line on page 8 of the DVM application form. One line that said, "Explain why you wish to be a veterinarian. Please respond in essay form." You'd already answered all the questions about the academic honors and awards that you held, your extracurricular and community activities. Always a humbling section for the admission committee to read, since collectively we never seem to match the accomplishments of even one of you. And your animal and veterinary related experience as well, including what relevant skills or knowledge you'd obtained. Those had been pretty easy, but then there it was, explain why you wish to be a veterinarian. In other words, sum up your whole life to that point using not more than the allowed half a page, but potentially using the smallest font, narrowest margins, and tightest spacing that you thought you could get away with, and convince the admission committee that you deserved to have one of the spots available at OVC in September of that year. And you started typing, and you gradually saw forming the words that said in a way who you were. It perhaps didn't come easily, but after hours, days, maybe weeks, you finally were satisfied. It might have been draft 3, 23, or 53, but you'd finished. You printed it off, made 4 copies, put them in an envelope addressed to Admission Services, University of Guelph, Guelph, Ontario, N1G 2W1. Then you dropped it in the mail, or perhaps knowing as I do, sent it by courier, or knowing you even better as I do, drove it to Guelph and handed it in personally, just in case. So, what did you write in response to that question? Explain why you wish to be a veterinarian. Please respond in essay form. So that we can all better understand the experiences in your lives that led you to becoming veterinarians, I'd like to share a few anonymous excerpts of your responses to that question that highlight some common threads. For many of you, there were significant, very early influences. For example, my mother always tells the story of when I was just a very small baby and would get fussy. She found the best way to settle me down was to put me in front of the television and find a show with horses. At 3 months of age, my favorite programming was always horse jumping. And maybe a higher power had a hand. My parents always say it's no coincidence that I was born on the feast day of St. Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of animals. From a young age, I was intrigued by them. I remember reading Chicken Soup for the Animal Lover's Soul over and over and being moved by the stories of how people's lives were profoundly influenced by their pets. Educational opportunities often contributed to a fascination with animals. One example. Once again, taking advantage of what my college's science department has to offer, I will be completing my senior thesis this year on a unique and uncommon topic. I will be studying the regulation of digestion and the effect of feeding on gastrointestinal and pancreatic hormones using the school's in-house alligators. I'll let you conjure with that image for a moment. In-house alligators just seems not to be right, but I guess they were there. Perhaps not unexpectedly, not everyone in your lives always understood your career goal. Many of my friends cannot comprehend why I care so much about animals. They do not seem to understand how important they are to mankind. From the agricultural animals that provide us with food, to the companion animals that bring us comfort, to wildlife that help maintain the balance of the ecosystem, and this last part, almost as if she knew Dr. McNamara would be here today, to the risks of disease carried by wild birds, I find it impossible to think that animals do not matter. At times, inspiration came in the most unexpected ways. For example, one day, as I waited for an oil change for my car, I saw an advertisement for a veterinary technician school on the television in the waiting area. I'd always loved animals, yet surprisingly had never thought of it leading to a career. I immediately enrolled in school and began classes 4 weeks later. After graduation, I began working in a veterinary clinic, and this unleashed my passion for veterinary medicine. I call it my epiphany at Jiffy Lube. You never know when inspiration is going to happen. You look forward to helping clients. From my experiences with different veterinarians, I've come to realize the importance of the ability to convey information from a variety of perspectives. Overall, teaching clients who have a range of background knowledge can be challenging. However, individuals with exceptional communication skills and teaching abilities can succeed in providing clients with the necessary knowledge to allow them to make the most informed decision possible. A foreshadowing of AVM if I ever heard one. And looking to the challenges ahead, I think being a veterinarian is often like being a detective trying to solve a mystery. Unlike in human medicine, you do not have the luxury of your patient describing their symptoms to you. You're given clues by signs from your patient and by statements from the owner. It's up to you to utilize diagnostic tools to rule out or rule in the possibilities. In closing, as Sherry mentioned, the first time we met was in room 1714 on Labor Day, Monday, September 6, 2010. Now I'm going to have to go check to see if it was legal or not, but anyway, you're here now. If you remember, on the screen was a slide that said, "Welcome, OVC 2014." And then I showed you the next line on that slide that said, "So I got in. What happens now?" Well, now you know. I imagine in many ways it's been exactly as you thought it would be, and in other ways completely unimaginable. And I think from this moment on, you are going to find that that happens too. Wherever your path takes you, I wish you every personal and professional success. Thank you very much. A reminder that there will now be a reception in the Science Complex atrium for you to enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you there. And there are also books, the new publication hot off the OVC presses called Sick, and it's a collection of stories about the diseases that we share with animals, and our esteemed honorary doctorate degree, Dr. McNamara, is one of the authors in that book, and she would be happy to sign copies for you. And I look forward to seeing you over there in the Science Complex. Thank you again for coming. Oh, and you can leave.